You are welcome back again to All That Matters. Now, ladies, and to you, the viewer, all I can say to you, no matter what hospital or care centre you go into in this country, you will always be met by nurses and care staff from either Eastern Europe or Asia. Now, the majority of those nurses either come from in southern part of India or the Philippines. So I would just like to find out, what are the challenges these ladies and these medical professionals face coming into our country in order to contribute, be part of, and integrate into our society. Now, recently, there was a program actually on nationwide, on nationwide called, it was about coins, a community, Cork's community of Indian nurses. Now, the girls are going to tell me more about that, but I would like in a few moments to welcome Janet Baby and Remia. I think I have her name pronounced properly, but we'll get to that in a moment. So, Ninat Ku, Swagatam, Janet, and Remia. So, how are you girls? And welcome to All That Matters. So, girls, in your own words, can you tell me briefly about coins, and this group that you've set up here in Ireland, first and foremost?
So maybe I'll start. Cork Indian Nurses. It is the short form for Cork Indian Nurses, and it's abbreviated as COINS. COINS started in 2019. Actually, it was a group of friends who sat together in a park just to talk and have a chat and, to have a relaxation, to find out what our problems are, how to deal with it. And it was a very informal chat, which finally led into the formation of Cork Indian Nurses. I was the part of that chat on that day. I wasn't, but when they sat together, they came to understand that there are so many people who are in need, who needs guidance and directions, who needs advice, who are new to the country, who needs an assistance, maybe just an emotional support, because they're leaving their parents or their spouse or their kids and coming so far and living here on their own in a very different environment and a different culture. And also a work environment is also different. So for at least an emotional support is what we thought at the start.
Yes.
But then as we progressed, the scope just expanded.
Now, Roma, so tell me, what was your role in this formation of this group, COINS?
Hi, as Janet said, actually, I was working in a nursing home when we formed this COINS group. Actually, I was invited by one of my friends to have a chat and just for a greet and meet, I could say. But then in that conversation, we included a lot of topic about, like Janet said, like what we have in this moment, like when the new girls or like when the new staffs, I could say that when it comes to a new country, like they are facing a lot of problems, like most importantly, emotional stress. That's very important to deal with that. So when they are not able to do that themselves, then they need some help. So in that way, when we were thinking about that, then we were thinking about an organization just to help them, just to help emotionally support them. That's what we were thinking initially. But then, gradually it became a organization for doing a lot of things other than the emotional support.
Yeah. Now, outside that, as we would call that here in Ireland, homesickness. I think that would be the best definition.
Everywhere in the world, it's called homesickness.
Yes, of course.
Actually, when I sat down and spoke with a group of Indian nurses, especially, they actually pointed out to me that the necessary documentation to get here and to work with us and contribute to our society, that it's a very time-consuming process. Could you tell me the challenges you have both met along the way as regards getting your documentation, etc.? It's a very time-consuming process.
Of course. So first of all, when we apply to the NMBI for the decision letter, the time frame that NMBI says is 90 days from receiving the last document. But that has gone beyond the limits at the moment. While I was coming in, while I applied, obviously it fell within the 90 days. But then now it seems to be taking too much of time. And also after you receive the decision letter, then the candidates have to go either for an adaptation course or an aptitude test. So the aptitude test, the dates, it's very hard to get the dates for an aptitude test. At the moment, if we check the website, it's in the month, like in May is what is available.
Yeah.
So that means whoever has a decision letter at the moment will have to wait until May to get a date for the examination.
All right. And Rima, have you also experienced the same issues going along the way as regards getting your documentation in place?
Yes, of course. I was working in an Arab country at that time, but I worked in a lot of places. So I had to gather all the documents from all the hospitals where I worked and the nursing councils, etc. So I had to spend a lot of time because I was working in another country. It was really difficult to go and get all these documents personally. So I had to get the help of my friends and all. It took a while to gather all the documentations and send to the NMBI. Then after that also it took like, I can't remember exactly how many months it took, but it took like more than 6 months, I could say, for in my case. And it could be different for others as well because of in respect of the documents that we have to get, because I worked in a lot of hospitals, that's why. But it's a time consuming process, I could say.
That exactly. Now, George, there's another thing actually that was brought to my attention, right? And from what I've been told, right, there is, how would you call this? There's a lack of mentoring or tuition in healthcare practices and procedures in our hospitals right now. So what I've also been told is the nurses are being just presented with this aptitude test, right? And they're given no prior tuition or mentoring about the procedures or guidelines in here. So can you tell the viewers a little more, the viewers, should I say, a little bit more about this and what obstacles you have faced?
Okay, yeah, you can, Janet.
Right. So once we receive the decision letter, there are two options. Either we go for aptitude test or adaptation. So it depends on the employer what you can go for. Like if you're being selected to, example, like University Hospital Cork, of course, you have to go for the adaptation and not the aptitude test. So the employer decides what kind of adaptation or aptitude test that you have to go through. If it is an adaptation program, then obviously there should be enough mentors in the hospital to look after all these candidates. And it is supposed to be the same mentor until they finish the adaptation. If it's not one, at least 1 or 2 should be the same, rather than having 5 and 6 altogether different people evaluating the same person. And in case of aptitude test, what I think is I was one of the candidates who appeared the aptitude test at the first batches, where we never knew what it was. We didn't have a clue at all what an aptitude test was. It was just merely going into the test room. So there isn't enough guidance. Obviously, they say that the topics are given in the website, but then it's like reading the whole Bible and then just taking out 1,000. Okay, from 1,122, what is the worst test? It's the same kind that happens there. You're going into an ocean and reading all together. Then you're set into a room for examination where anything could be asked from anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
Mm-hmm. But is nursing practice not the same worldwide?
No, like in India, the curriculum is different. Our practices are different. So we are being mentored in a different way.
Right.
So what we think is, while the nurses come over to here, they are not used to the European culture. They're not used to the European health system. So they need some kind of a guidance and direction provided before they go into the examination. Because this examination fees is 2,800 euros.
Mm-hmm.
And you have only 2 chances. Once you fail in the second chance, you can't stay back. You have to go back to India. So can you imagine all the documentation, the money that has been spent, the time you have spent, you have resigned your job from your home country, you left your family behind, and then you don't have a job in Ireland, and you're going back.
Yeah, it's like, should there not be scope there for somebody from your country to actually be able to offer this tuition online to those who wish to come to Ireland, and either give that some type of preliminary training online to those who wish to come to this country and basically get online tuition? Is that opportunity not there to do? Which, let's say, for example, somebody from your country or your town, your village or city, whatever the case may be, can they not connect with you and book a tuition with you? Or somebody who has experience and has been long established here. Is that opportunity not available?
Shemia, do you want to answer?
I don't
Yeah,
mind.
Yeah, actually, I came here 5 years ago, and actually, I did have an idea about that exam, what was happening, because like I contacted some of the nurses who was working here at that time, and I was asking them about the examination, so they could provided me some information. And of course, as you said, like there are organizations which provide the training, but that is actually against the rule of RCSI, because when we come for the exam, the first thing that we hear from in the exam center is you should not go for any training before you come here. So then the nurses, they are afraid to say that actually they underwent a training for that. But without training, without guidance, it's really difficult to overcome those exams. I personally say, because it's a tough one. And as Janet said, like everything is different. And even, for example, the equipment that we use here, for example, the simple thing like the trolley, which we use to check the device, which we use to check the observations like temperature, pulse, respiratory, BP, all those things. And that is different from other countries sometimes. So when we come to a new environment and into a room that set up in according to the Irish, health system, then it's very difficult to use that. And if we don't know anything about that. So,
well, isn't that very, like, no matter what exam you go, like, to sit, even in this country, like, you obviously, study first and get a little bit of support, as we call them, grinds, like, considering state exams and things like that. Most people do need some form of tuition, like, and some form of insight into the possibility of the questions that may be brought to them. Like, you'd obviously think there might be some common sense should prevail here. Like, in my opinion, it should prevail that you should have give some opportunity to do some bit of study before you actually sit that exam.
Can I add on something to that, Eugene?
Please.
NHS, that is in the UK, they do have the similar kind of examination. And those students can do the theory exam while they are in their home country, and they come in for the practical exam to UK. And before they go for the practical exam, they are given essential training by the NHS.
That only applies to student nurses only. It doesn't apply to fully qualified nurses from India.
No, they are for the qualified nurses coming over from abroad.
Yeah.
So that means like us, an Indian nurse who is looking to go over to UK, they will be fully trained before they appear the exam.
Yeah. Oh yeah, even though they have their full qualifications from
exactly.
India.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
right.
That's to know what the culture of the UK health system is, and how to deal with the equipments, as Ramya mentioned, and how to talk to the patients. So they get an overview before they appear the exam.
That is something now that should be highlighted, because I agree this is an opportunity. Now, girls, look, no matter where you come from, at the moment, I think this is practically worldwide, right? And you face it, and all the medical professionals face it, as well as professionals in other areas, whether it's IT, etc. It's the accommodation crisis. Okay, I don't have to tell you, girls, to secure accommodation is hard for anybody coming into this country, whether they're medical professions or whatever professions or trades, qualifications, etc. they want to bring into this country. So what I'm going to say to you, what are the main challenges that you and your colleagues have faced? And is there anything you could put forward that would make this transition easier for those in your profession that are coming to our country to integrate, work and participate in Irish society, as well as contribute to Irish society, obviously?
To start with the accommodation issues, I'd say it has been growing. The issue has been growing day by day. And it's not only, as you mentioned, not only for the Indians or any other international nurses coming, it's for everyone who lives in Ireland. Everybody faces the same issue. But the problem here is the migrant nurses who come over, we don't know what is the situation here. When you get selected for a job, when you are interviewed, you know only about the hospital or your job description and your salary. You wouldn't know what is the accommodation crisis that's going on here. And the employer would never, or the agency would never explain to you that. So it is, if you have friends here or relatives here, obviously you'll come to know that there is such a crisis.
Yeah.
And
Now,
when you come in first, sorry.
Yeah, what I was going to say to you is, and this is where really that group you formed, Coins, I think, have you not somebody in that group who can offer support for?
So
yeah,
in that group, actually, we have people who are not even in Ireland at the moment. That means the people who are interviewed and looking to come over to Ireland are also a part of the group. Their spouses are also part of the group, so that they can find accommodation places. They can find about the, about the immigration card, about the PPS, about driving license, everything. All the informations that we know are passed on through the group, so that they get to know about it in prior before they land the country.
Very good. Now, let's go back to another topic, and I'll actually bring this over to yourself, Remia. Remia, excuse me. Oh, sorry about this. But look, I had a discussion with one of, actually, to an Indian medical professional as well, and they said they'd like to invite members of their family over here, even if it's a short-term stay. And I believe also that you're having problems in this area as well, that we say members of your family cannot even come to visit you for just a brief holiday stay, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What problems are you meeting there? Is there any advice like you could give to your colleagues who wish to just invite relatives here just for a short-term stay, i.e. holiday break, whatever the case may be?
In that case, actually, I did not bring any of my family members here yet, only my husband and my son here. And I wish to bring them, but, we were discussing about the accommodation crisis. That is one of the problems, because sometimes there is no space to accommodate them. So some of the landlords, they don't entertain the family, the more members to come to the accommodation. So that is one of the problems. And so what I could say that's why I didn't bring my parents yet. And we are, in the middle of buying houses and all now, then only I am thinking to bring them, because the accommodation is a major problem here in this country. Yeah, and also if we bring our parents here, they could stay only for 3 months. But in other countries, like in UK, they could stay there for 6 months. But only in Ireland, I don't know anything about other countries. Only I know about UK, but Australia and all those countries, we could bring our parents or family members for 6 months or 12 months even. But here only for 3 months, and it is expensive as well, because we have to get the visa. That is a process, and we have to get all the documentations from here, and also their bank statements and everything from there. Then only 3 months they could stay here, and the flight ticket, as you know, like it's really expensive, and because of the weather we cannot bring them like anytime we want, but so we have to look for the summer, but summer time the flight tickets will be very high. So these are most challenges. And also I could mention that for the accommodation, it's very hard to get accommodation, and it is too expensive too. So I personally spending 1,500 euro for 2-bedroom apartment. It's an apartment, it's not a house, and it's not in the city as well. I mean, it's like just like 40 minutes away from Cork city.
Yeah.
But still we are paying that much for the apartment. But now, like I could say that, like my friends were saying, they were searching for the apartments or house, whatever it is, but it's more than 2,000 euro for 2-bedroom apartments even they are asking.
Right.
So
Yeah. Right. It's a topic now that I hadn't here in script, but a colleague of mine was telling me that when a lot of you come here first, you find it hard to adjust to our climate, because I know we're on the Gulf Stream, etc., right? That your climate is way different to ours, and they actually find it, like we say, you get a lot of flus or colds, etc., because of the change of climate. Are you not advised about that and how to protect it and how to basically protect yourselves? It's amazing the amount of Indian nurses who've taught me about their children, etc., find it hard to adapt to the climate here.
Yeah, actually, there are, including me, I'd say. I have respiratory issues, so I always tend to get these kind of problems. But when we say that we are planning to go to Ireland or move to Ireland, the people who are here would say that the weather is unpredictable. But we wouldn't really know how much it could go cold or how much it would rain, because in Kerala, where we come from, we have a season called monsoon, which is always raining. But this is something different. Here we would have wind and rain, and all could just come in a flash of a second.
Right, Terrence. Look,
Which is not really, which is unknown to us.
yeah.
Right. So look, I would like to thank both yourself, Janet, and Rema, if I hope I got your name right, for coming on and expressing and highlighting to the viewer, no matter what size screen they're looking at, about what you face coming into this country, and on the fact that you would like to come here, work with us, contribute to our society, and be part thereof. And I actually noticed a lot of your community like to integrate into our ways and our cultures and even our sports. So for that, I will wish you both and all your colleagues, both here and in India, continued success and the best of luck going forward. And all I can say is take care out there, and remember, best of luck.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks.